right, welcome everyone, and thank you for tuning into today's webinar, 10 online resources for agriculture classrooms. It is 1 o'clock, so we will get started. My name is Emily Klinsky. I am on the marketing team here at Realityworks. Presenting today, we have with us Jamey McIntosh. He is one of our product managers. Jamey has been with Realityworks for a little over 9 years and came to us with an extensive background as he was a former educator who taught in Wisconsin and in Colorado. His topics cover student engagement, technology in the classroom, gaming, filling the skills gap, business education, and various agriculture and welding topics. So he's a great resource for today's webinar. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pass things over to Jamey.
All right, thank you very much for taking the time today and interacting with us. This is kind of a fun opportunity to really look at some different resources that are out there. And, you know, it's one of those things where in this time, as we are doing some very interesting kind of heads up questions, not sure where everything is going to go, we do see that there are some new opportunities in this world. And so I hope that you can take this with gleaning something from something, taking an understanding from it that maybe you didn't know before, some idea that you kind of either forgot about or maybe it interests you and brings you down a path you weren't thinking about. Hopefully this gives you something as we go through here that just helps you. And so to get started, want to just talk to you about our resources here and what they are, but a few reminders. We are on a Zoom meeting, and so with that, we have this kind of reminder for you is as we go through and you have questions, we want to help answer those questions. So on your screen, as you're kind of looking and seeing what we have, it is one of the things that we have a chat area. So that's a place where you can click on that and you can ask a question as we go through. This is a place where if you have questions that you're, hey, tell me more about that or something, even though I'm talking through it, if I miss it, we will answer all the questions at the end. There's also a question and answer session there. You can hit that and ask any questions there too. Emily is helping with that. She will see that and be able to get those questions answered for you as we go through. So as we kind of start and get started here, we are going to throw out our first poll. And this is something where, again, using Zoom, which we'll talk about in just a little bit here, we're going to have a poll in just a second here. And that poll is going to ask a few questions to you, all right? And so as we kind of get started here, there's going to be some questions here. And this is the kind of that first question is there's two questions. So take the time right now and answer this question. I see some of you doing it, do you use Zoom for remote learning? And then the other question is, do you use other remote learning options? Okay. And now I didn't put a whole bunch in that, but just asking the question of, what are you using? Do you use other options? And I'm intrigued to know maybe what some of those might be and kind of how you're working with that. So I'm going to give about maybe 10 more seconds here. So as you see that, kind of answering those questions, and this just helps us kind of look at what's going on and how you're saying actually what we are going to be talking about today. So great information here. We'll end that poll and you can see then kind of the varying people there of what is being used right now. Again, we are using Zoom because that's just what we have and what we're available to, but there are a lot of other ones, and we'll talk about those in just a few moments here. So with that said here, a reminder here, okay, social distancing is important, so we just kind of put this into, as you're getting back into the classroom, be careful and kind of follow the guidelines because it is there for our help. All right, so I want to talk a little bit just about ways to teach and learn and to show you some things before we get into our resources that we have, just some ideas that we have. So, teaching options, and this is something where it might be a remote lecture, and we're going to talk about Zoom and some other products there, but remote lecture is a piece of that puzzle. It might be something that you need to start thinking, if you haven't started already, about, okay, how are you going to do that? We have some resources and kind of walk through that. Presentation slides. What you're seeing today is I'm doing a remote learning to you. While you're watching this presentation, then there's also presentation slides for you, so you can actually go in here and see what I'm talking about and interact that way. Another one is adding an activity. What we just did there, we had a poll all right? An activity that brings in that learning, brings in, now, for me, it's kind of fun to see, oh, what's going on? How's this working? What do other people see this? What's happening? That's a great opportunity there for you to interact with your students by bringing an activity with what's being talked about. And we're going to do a few polls today as well. And then some hands-on piece, all right? Now, this is different in this world because as we're gonna show you, there are a whole bunch of resources out there for you. Those resources can be used in a lot of different ways. And so as you go there, you can actually find some different hands-on activities, if it's worksheets, if it's interactive activities, if it's just any kind of that hands-on learning, if there's models to make or to create, those types of things of getting your hands on. And again, it's going to have to maybe be different this year where it won't be in person and watching that student using that model, but there's other ways we can go through that, all right? And then another piece that we're going to talk about is we have some research, okay? Having students use and look at and interacting with research can be a very important piece of the puzzle here. And so we have kind of some helpers there to walk through as well. So how we set this up today is looking at, and I'm calling them the teaching tools that you will use and you have, okay? So if we're talking about here, we have 10 kind of online sites or resources that we want to introduce and help you. And again, hopefully this is helping you in some way as you get ready, just making your burden a little lighter, all right? So we've broken them down into 3 areas: teaching or teacher sites, research and resource sites, and then games and interactive activities, okay? Now, I'm giving you them here, but here's the great piece. We have all the links embedded here. Everything that you need from what I'm going to be presenting, we will then email all this to you as well, so you can see this and use this. All the links are here for you. But the 10 online learning sites that we're going, we actually have 12. We're giving you some extra here, all right? 2 of them, of course, being our own, some pieces of our own companies, our website, so what you can do, but a different kind of view of them as we go through. Now, some of them, maybe you say, you know what, I don't know how much you need. We're going to show you some pieces of it. One of them that we use and we interact with is Zoom. You can get a free trial, but you can get that. Maybe it's something else, but going to talk to that as well. And then kind of focusing in from that teacher site, that research resource site, and then some interactive activities as well. So some teacher resources here, okay? So we're going to start with our first one, okay? And what you just saw and what you just did was you did a poll, all right? And with that poll, one of the things that you can see with that poll was, again, an interactivity, okay? You can actually interact with it and go through it, all right? And with this PowerPoint here, one of the things I want you to know is that this is something where, as you can see, the way I've done this and this interaction for you is that we will send this presentation, this PowerPoint to you. And here it has the website and it's actually a link, all right? So I can actually click on this and it brings me right where I need to go. All right, so what I'm going to do here, though, is I'm going to talk to you what some highlights of Zoom and what you can do with this. And I'm going to just show you this is there are things like polls. All right, what I just did was I put that in before our meeting. It allows you to ask some questions and get interaction. There's another portion of it, and it's called the whiteboard. All right, so I'm going to do a new share for you. All right, and when I do this whiteboard share, what you now should see is just a completely blank sheet of paper, all right? This is the whiteboard that you have in the classroom. And in this case, I have a drawing tool. And in this case, I can actually draw on this whiteboard with my mouse. I'm just using my mouse here. And I can actually do different things where I can make different stamps is what they call it, all right? I can erase different things. I can clear the whole thing if I want, clear all the drawings, and I can start over. I can write in text, you know, and be able to do stuff on this. This is that piece where within here, it's bringing the whiteboard into your classroom, all right? Allowing you to set up and to interact with your students as you feel and as you need to be able to do that. So that allows you then to be able to do some interactivity where you can actually draw on a whiteboard in a remote setting, all right? Another piece of that is the annotate feature, okay? Now, again, we're talking about Zoom. This might be one that you may say, oh, I don't have Zoom or it doesn't connect. Maybe you can work with your school to see how that helps. There are other ones like, we put up there as Teams, um, Microsoft Teams, Skype. There's in Canvas, there might be some stuff. There's different places where you might be getting some of that information. All right. Another place here that what you can do is there's also annotate. And what I can do with that is I can actually have this annotation, and this is, again, it's like a whiteboard, but in this case, I'm in this PowerPoint here, and now I can actually do the same thing. I can take my drawing tools, all right, and I can write right on and interact right here on my screen, right on my presentation, okay? So in this case here, all right, we've talked about polls, we've talked about whiteboard, we've talked about annotate. You can add things, you can do different pieces of this depending on what you really are looking to do and what you have. So if you think of this here, what you might be, using this for is kind of, if you have slides, how you want to present. And again, that involvement, that interaction here with your students here as well. All right. The next one here, again, is just the presentation focus. All right. I can clear all this, take away all those different little gadgets, and then you just have that presentation, allowing students to see what you see, be able to interact and show them kind of a visual of what your needs are and you're talking to. So that's where I'm going to kind of end with Zoom, not go too far into it. I do see from our chat section, it's a great point here. Skype is going away as Microsoft Teams is being the replacement. So that is probably, that's happening. So there is going to be some things where you may not have as much opportunity or options there, but what it does hopefully bring you into thinking is, okay, how can I present and what are the tools that I have within that? All right. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about it is going into some of our different highlights here. Now, in this case here, I'm going to show you some of these resources, these teacher resources here. Now, this one's from the University of Florida. Okay, now I could have gone and done a whole bunch, but if you go into some of the extension areas and kind of really look into them, all right, you will start to see that there is a plethora of different free or very free and user-friendly resources for you. Okay, now I chose University of Florida. You could have chosen a lot of different ones. I wanted to share this with you, so I can click on the resource here, bring back into it, and let me bring it up to the top here. All right, now I'm at the website here, and again, this is here for you, so we'll be sending all this information for you. This is the online agriculture education resources. All right, the great thing about this site is that they break it down for you in the different areas that you might be looking for. All right, it is by pathway, but then they also have an area for middle school, so if you have some younger students, but is by pathway, and it is in that high school into that post-secondary focus here. Now, in this case, as I scroll down here, they have a lot of different options for you to be able to go and see and to use. And I'm just going to stop at the animal science area here. But it allows you to be able to look at different options, different resources for you to use. Now, again, I chose one of them. There are a lot of different places, Oklahoma State, Missouri, University of Wisconsin. You can go to a lot of different places and they have different resources. I really liked the University of Florida one just because of how they broke it down, where you can kind of scroll through and you can talk about and look at their resources and some of their questions or worksheets and artificial insemination, canine, and you can walk through and kind of pick and choose what might be of interest to you. And so there's some different features here that kind of walk through and help you, Masters of Beef and the self-guided lessons, okay? So some of those kind of things might be a great useful tool for you as you are looking into. So again, it's individual curriculum focuses. There's shareable resources there. And then there's also things like student handouts and student activities there for you as well, all right? Another options for you here, all right, is the National Agriculture in the Classroom website. All right, now this is one that has a lot of varying degrees too. They have some in the elementary, some in the middle school, and also some in the high school. So the breadth of knowledge there can sometimes be more elementary, and there might not fit as exactly as what you have. But in this case, one of the great things is there's a lot of different types of resources here that you can be using. So in the Teacher Center, there's actually curriculum matrix and then state agriculture facts. In the Student Center, you have that same state ag facts, but there's also virtual tours. And that's a really cool part of this, where if you need something to be able to kind of give students that extra understanding, there are virtual tours that you can actually, because you may not be able to go out and actually do a tour, you can use that virtual tour to get students understanding and seeing what's going on. And then there's also games, which we'll be talking about a little bit later. But again, I'm going to click on the website here, and we'll bring that up here. And this is a really nice little area to walk through, because in the Teacher Center here, you can scroll down, and like I said, there's a curriculum matrix that if you click on that, it can come down here, all right, and it gives you the ability to search any kind of topic that you might have, all right? But it also gives you searches in the sense of search by national standards, okay? It also is by a quick search of the different lesson plans. So in this case, I can scroll down here, and if I'm in high school, you can get rid of anything else that's not part of your high school curriculum. It might be something that you want to be able to see that information again, all right? And then in this here, the content area standards here, in this case, they have a lot of different products in here as well, but, educational areas of study. But in this case here, you just click on that career and technical education, and then it allows you to search, and you can then kind of deep dive into different places that you might be interested and be able to see in that world. So this is a opportunity here for you to then jump in and be able to see kind of how that's all kind of working. So it comes up here and it gives you lesson plans, agriculture, land use, all right, apples of science, beef, going through here. It allows you just to keep on, again, walking through and see what are the lessons that you might be able to use, all right? Now, I'm going to jump back here to our website here. Again, just a reminder, all of these are going to be in the websites are right in here, so you can just click on those, and it actually, it's all right written down here too, but you can click right on there and it'll go right to that. So this will be a great resource for you when we will send it out tomorrow for you. But also here, this Ag Virtual Tours, I'm going to click on that link as well, and boom, what happens is it comes up and it gives you different virtual tours that you can actually do with your students. So you can walk through them. And again, in this case, they are YouTube. So if you have YouTube or not, that might be something you need to work through. But there are different focus here that you can then show some tours to your students. The other piece that is very interesting, this kind of goes into the research side too, is if you go to the student or to the teacher site, there's a state agriculture facts. And when you click on that, it is by state. So again, you might be, all over the United States in different areas, but you can click on your state, wherever you are. We're here in the state of Wisconsin, so I'll pick that one. And it gives a great little synopsis of what's going on with things like climate and soil, crops and land, or livestock, and then general overview. This, again, can be used for multiple things. Maybe it's research, maybe it's the beginning of, hey, from that, maybe it's pick another state, learn about different areas around the United States. That is something that, again, just another research piece that allows you to be able to learn. So in this case here, it is something where we can help with that. So gives you that option there. All right. The next one, next option here is the American Farm Bureau. All right. So in this case, then there's a ton of different websites. I tried to pick different ones that had what I thought kind of unique, but also maybe a blended learning for some of you in multiple different pathways. So it's not just one area. Again, there's a lot more than what I could put in 10, but these were ones that I thought were really interesting and unique. And again, this one gives you curriculum options. All right. It allows, again, some agriculture facts, so you can look at that. But for students, there are printable resources and activities that you can click to and look at as well. So as I bring that one up here, and I come into this one here, again, this is the kind of the ag lit category. And so when you come in here, it gives you different focuses, our free resources and lesson plans, but there's also different things like food and farm facts. There's different publications that you could bring your students to and have them be reading. Unique different lessons focusing on very specific pieces of it. And one of the things that I wanted to show you is, and I'm just going to kind of go in here, is this biotech to life, bringing biotech to life. If you click on that, then what it has then is it walks you through and it has lessons. Okay, it talks about all the different focuses. Maybe it's selective breeding or what you want, and then there's printouts, activities, and videos there. Okay, so again, these are kind of already put in place options for you, things for you that you can, if you want to say canned, ready for you to be able to use in that sense. So just another option availability for you in that world. The next one, this one is one that is a little different because CASE, or the Curriculum for Agriculture Science Education, which is CASE for Learning, is another opportunity where they do full year curriculum. Okay, and so this is something where they give you all the information, okay, and work with you, train you how to use it. Now, the thing about this though, the difference is that this is a purchasable based curriculum. So it's chocked full with all your teacher guides, all your lessons, all the interaction pieces that you are interested in. And you can then kind of do a step-by-step walkthrough, and they teach you kind of how to use that. All right. Case for Learning then is a little different because it is a purchasable product. All right. But in this case here, as I bring this up, it walks you through, and this is, Principles of Agriculture Science. It walks you through every single lesson that you're going to be asking and showing you all the different pieces of what's inside. And it brings you into all those different lessons and shows you everything that you are looking for. Now, if I go to their website here, this is a great place then to look at it a little bit deeper, because they walk you through all the different course concepts, every little thing that you need to kind of have an understanding of what's going to be taught, and then how is it going to be taught. And we were in the agriculture or science area, so it walks through everything that's going to be interacted with and focused on in that world. So again, a little different because this one is a purchasable one, but it is chocked through full with great resources and allows you then to kind of be able to put in the pacing and the things that you want in your classroom for that. And again, is backed by the National Council for Ag Education and also NAAE. So again, it has all those different features and things you want. All right, we're going to turn a little bit and get into some research and resource sites here, because I want to talk a little bit about some of those features for you, and what we're kind of in that. Okay, so before we get in that, I'm going to have the second poll be brought up here. All right, and there's going to be two questions here that I'm just looking, again, bringing polls out here and asking questions. All right, first question, go ahead and answer these when you can here. Do you feel like you have enough resources for learning? So I just gave you some, but do you feel like you have enough? And then the next one is how are you going to be starting the school year this year? Just kind of want to know and think about, okay, what is it going to look like in your world? Again, using this is another opportunity and activity where I just talked for probably 15 minutes. Now I want engagement. Now we want to stop and ask questions to your students, and maybe it's in a poll, maybe it's in them talking to you, but you need to have that engagement as you go through as well. All right, so again, I'll give you about, let's say 10 more seconds here. as you are on here, as the polls put up there, really looking at the question just as, what does your world look like? And the cool thing about this is it's also kind of hopefully helping you see where you are, all right? Huh, great point here in the chat section was, yes, the person said, I'm getting enough resources, but to sort it all out can be overwhelming. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for saying that, because that is a great point there to kind of ask or to say, is that there are a lot of resources. How do you then put it into place and in practice? And we're actually going to talk a little bit about that in just a second here. So, all right, with the share, let's just look at these polls here for a second. Okay. It's pretty split here. Do you feel like there's enough resources for learning? Okay, 50-50. Some are saying yes, 52% yes, 48% said no. So pretty split there in that, all right? Now, again, I think that's a great point that was talked about in the chat section there is, hey, I might have enough, but I'm overwhelmed by it. So do I really have enough? Some might say, I don't have enough and I need more. So we wanna be there to help you and interact with you there, all right? Another one here is, how are you going to start the school year? Okay, and again, very interesting in this sense. Okay, remote, full-time, about 34%, face-to-face full-time, about 28%. The hybrid really is that remote and face-to-face, and then, still don't know, there is one out there, and that's the hard part, because I think there is that feeling too, is yep, for right now, you may think, but we don't know 100% what's going to be the final outcome. But we're starting to get ready for that, and maybe you are already teaching and already there already. So with that, the other piece I want to just talk about that, as this is closed here, is hopefully you see this poll as you're not alone. All right, you're not the only teacher. You're not the only one who is having to do this. You see it split pretty much evenly in remote, face-to-face, hybrid model. You see this, do you have enough resources? Do you not have? There are others in that boat with you. And so by having a community here, how can we help to be able to, I know it can be overwhelming. There's a lot of unknowns, but you're not in this alone. There's a lot of us working to try to create a better situation here for that. So thank you for taking that poll. So moving forward here, some research and resource sites that we have for you. And again, hopefully this can help you. And want to say this again, we are going to email these out to you so you will have all this information for yourself. Now, I want to talk about, again, how do you interact and how do you go about this? And this is where I want to throw in some research ideas here for you, okay? And sometimes it doesn't matter what the focus or the topic of the research that you're doing. It might be just as important that your students are actually researching, your students are actually doing a task, because they can learn so much from that. Even if it's, kind of out there, it might fit right into that world, is what can you do to get them to still be engaging and learning in some sort of a feat. So in that case, it might be more heavily this year, this semester, in some sort of research or projects that are going to be not as much hands-on or hands-on and learning, but it's what are you doing in that sense. So we have this economic research service here. The USDA puts this out. And I'm just going to go right to it, because I want you to be thinking about what are some projects throughout the year you can do. And kind of to that question of sometimes I feel overwhelmed because there's so much to do. Here is kind of an idea for you of how you can chunk it up. All right. And it's in that world of sometimes, and what you might need to do is to chunk up your day, chunk up your time. I'll give an example. You might have to say that every Friday is going to be a research day, and it's a different topic. And then you have that world kind of created for you. Yep, Fridays are research day, or maybe it's a Tuesday is research day. And that's the day that your students then have a plan, have an understanding of what's going on, and they're able to come out and say, yep, Tuesday's this. Thursday is going to be interactive day, where we're going to be talking, we're going to be doing that. Maybe Wednesday is presentation day, all right? Or maybe it is Wednesday is going to be our, connect the dots in the sense of webinar Wednesday, all right? And we're gonna have a webinar, and the teacher's going to present and give their lesson for the week, and it's gonna be on Wednesday. So students kind of have an understanding of what to expect, what's coming their way, and then on the other side for you, that's where you can start talking, you can start working with your students and kind of putting in place where, yep, every Wednesday, that's what we're gonna have. Okay, I have that in place. Every Friday, I'm gonna have this, I'm gonna do that. All right, so that's where sometimes that overwhelming feeling, if you can just put a plan in place and try to have a foundation that you're going to replicate week after week for some of that stuff, and then, you know, if it gets a little monotonous, switch it up, switch it backwards. You're still doing the same things, but you can give some of that information there. So back to the topic here is, in this Department of Ag survey, there are different surveys that focus on agriculture. So what is agriculture's share of the overall US economy? It gives us, you can click on this and it can deep dive into what the GDP, how our agriculture world affects the United States. We can go in here and what are the related industries that are involved. We're going to talk a little later about some agriculture career exploration. This is where they can go in and do some research. They can look at these things, take these graphs out, write a report about it, what's going on, what are some career options that they might want to have, okay? How is food accounting for our household expenditures? Some personal finance, some interactions here of what is being used with that. It gets into certain areas, meat and poultry, food nutrition assistance, and it talks about different things. So there are different data sets here that you can use for collecting research or asking a question. And sometimes that question could be 2 or 3 questions. What are your thoughts on this? How do you feel this? What does the data tell you? And have your students be creating either, you know, it's a quick assignment, it's a quick paragraph of writing about it. Maybe it's a much deeper topic that you're going to share on, but giving them some data to then have to analyze and then do some research or do some interaction with. All right, next one here is, again, there are free resources, but one of the things with this Nutrients for Life is that if I click on it here, we're gonna get in here, there we go, so it's popping up here, where again, it gives you different levels. So middle school, high school, you know, one of the things that you could do, and this is again, an engagement piece with other departments and other levels of your education in your classroom, is maybe you want to go to an elementary lesson. Maybe the purpose of that is not for just your students, but maybe you could use that and you could tie in with an elementary teacher or a middle school teacher, because they are, again, as we showed the poll, they're in that same world, all right? They're in that same world asking the questions of, how am I going to get through this next year? If you can interact and work together and say, hey, we're going to have a lesson for your students, and then we're going to get those lessons back from your students. We're going to have them email, or we're going to have to interact with them. Maybe there's a connection there that not only gets engagement between different grade levels and cross-sectionally, but maybe that then helps you to then kind of look at, oh, hey, another thing that we could look at here is, this is that feeder piece for you. Get those students interested as they come up. What's going on in that world where they're at? So in this case, want to just kind of scroll down here. You can pick the different resource level, all right? And then it breaks it down, and you can start looking through, again, different interactivities here, different activities that are available in the teacher section here, okay? So there are teacher sections. There's also a video library allowing for your students to be able to look at some different lessons here, all right? For students here then, we're gonna get into in just a moment here, we're going to get into some of the video, or I'm sorry, some of the games, the kind of video games, but the games that are involved with this as well. So Nutrient for Life has different curriculums and different pieces that, depending on what you're looking for, it is kind of more in the plant science world. So it's there for those in the plant science world, but it kind of helps in that way, in that world as well. All right. So this is kind of bringing us into our next session, because it kind of connects with that, is games or interactive activity sites, okay? So we have another poll that we're going to throw up here. This is our third poll. We have 4 polls. This is our third poll here. And I just want to ask questions. Do you see the effectiveness of games and education? All right. And then how do you see yourself teaching when we get back to, and again, quote unquote, normal? All right. Normal, I don't know what that is, but what do you see as, you know, are you going to take some of the stuff that you've gotten over and how you're teaching? Will you interact with it? Will you change some? How will you kind of bring about learning as, you know, we get to all of a sudden take a deep breath, whenever that might be, and be able to get to that normal, quote unquote, normal. So take a moment and kind of just check that out for a few moments here. In this case here, we'll give you about 10 more seconds here just to kind of see what we have. All right. As you finish up here, if you haven't done it, feel free to finish it up. But do you see the effectiveness of games in education? Yes. Overwhelming. Everyone is saying yes. All right. And how do you see yourself teaching when you get back? You know, it may not be fully hands-on. It looks like a lot of people are saying, yep, there's going to be hands-on, but there's going to be some online options too. That is going to. And there's some I will use more online options than I ever have. You know, there's going to be some of you that say, yep, that's going to kind of push you in that direction as well. So these again are some different options here of what you might see, and again, where you're thinking and how you're thinking as the future holds. So I hope that, you know, they say everything happens for a reason, that in this case, you're going to use this for your own good, in the sense of, hey, I've learned a ton. There's a lot of things, and you incorporate some of this as well. So I want to talk about games here, okay? In this case here, games I want to hit on are, one, in this nutrients for life here. It's an actual game here, and I'm gonna just click on it and go out into it. And this is something where your students can actually play. Now, there are other games here that you can go into. All right, I picked this Nutrient for Life after playing it and kind of interacting with it. There's some interesting features to it, and it's about crop growth and feeding your crops correctly, things like that. There is a Farmers 2050 game app. This again is for your cell phone, so it's something where you could, or an iPad. So if you have that capability, you can use that, a tablet type device, but it's not something that really works all that great. It does work on the computer, but not all that great in that world. So this one, where this Nutrient for Life is one where it's an interactive game that starts right up. And the whole purpose of this is it's teaching you, again, what you need for your crops, and being able to, again, kind of play a fun little game and being able to interact with it. But one of the things that you have to do is, as you kind of go through here, is interact with the simulation as you kind of go through. So you can add the different amounts, and again, what you're trying to do is get to the green area. So you know what kind of water, or how much water you actually need to get to actually feeding. But in your time, you also have to put in other nutrients to make sure that your crop is actually growing, and you can start seeing that now my crop is actually going. And what am I doing enough of or not enough of, and what's it going to kind of, in this case, not enough potassium, what am I doing? All right. Now, if I don't get enough, and this goes on, so you got a time limit here as your season is growing, all right? And then when it's to that point here, just what is actually interacting here. So I'm gonna finish up here. There we go. It ends now, all right? And it talks about what my yield was, my economic involvement, how much I spent on it, and then was it good or not good for the environment. Okay, so it gives you some of those pieces in this world. Okay, now what this does then is it continues on, and I can change it and see what do I need to do different so I have a better yield, how much economic help, and then environment. It then keeps on getting deeper and deeper into that world. I'm not going to go all there right now, but it gets in deeper and deeper in that world, allowing for you to then start to look at, okay, what is the amount of nutrients I need on my plants, things of that nature. I'm going to share with you another interactive one. This is Journey 2020, okay? This is a great one because it's not just focused about the United States. It is a worldwide impact and introduction to you as you go in here. So Journey 2020 is another interesting game that allows you to walk through and be in different parts of the world, okay? So if I click on and play the game now here, all right, it tells me that I had to make sure that I can, where I want to open up, so you gotta have Chrome, you have to have some of those pieces, or Safari. But once it's open up, it actually is interacting with me. I'm in a location and I have to actually start deciding and growing my crop. And in this case, it starts in different parts of the world. Sometimes it's in Kenya, sometimes in India, sometimes in the United States. So there's different places and different areas they go. So sustainability farming, then it goes into geography game, and then a career game. So there's different levels as your students go through. So this is something that they can be going and interacting. So in this case, I go into Kenya here. That's where it starts. And the nice thing about this game is as students play it, it's helping with different things like videos and different interactive pieces, teaching them while they're actually going, all right? So it talks through what's actually happening in here, the situation that they're in, all right? And trying to get yourself to have the highest profit, food production, and then a good habitat as well, all right? Each place they go, they have different issues and different things that they have to work through. So again, it's a critical thinking piece as well, where again, you then have to start to decide, okay, do I want to do beans? Do I want to do maize? What's the positive? What's happening in that world, okay? Starting to grow. So in this case here, I need to actually start to water it as well, okay? So I can actually go in and put water on my plants, all right? And then what I need to do, it kind of walks me through here. Again, it ties it through, it walks you through, all right? And it tells you, okay, harvest time and how are you doing? All right, and you can see down here that it's starting to then grow. What is it to get kind of my full bucket? It's making me money, all right? I can see, okay, investment. Do I wanna do another one, all right? Yes or no, okay, yes case here, some of the reasons of why you would do that. It talks through those different pieces in that case. And then I can start doing that as well. As I get farther along here, it then walks me through things like adding nutrients, adding different fertilizer, putting up different types of protection for my fields. It walks you all through that, and then it changes. It goes to another country. And now you have a new set of issues that you have to walk through. And so this is one of those things where there's a lot of neat interactions here in this Journey 2020 that allows you to go in and have students kind of get that feel of farming in the virtual world, something that they can then interact with. All right. Oh, there's a good question. So when using any of the games, how can an instructor see student progress or other ways to track time? Good question, all right? So in this case, these are some of those things where some are supplemental, okay? Allowing your students to go out and play and practice. There are features in here, and you can walk through this game, you can go through it yourself, but there are features in here where you can do all of, and they have to get through each country in this one. So you have to go through Kenya, okay? And then you have to have them put down how much did they make, all right? What was their resources that they used? And be able to walk through that, all right? Now, you do that in one day or one setting, and as you can see on my site here, there's India. That's the next one, and you can see this little icon here, all right? And now they're going on to India. Now, what all I did was I took a screenshot of my picture, and it then shows that I was done, that I'm now in India because I passed Kenya, okay? I already did Kenya. So in this case here, you could have them show where you're at, and then write down all the different places that they go as they go through the different places here and be able to interact with that. Those are kind of some of those opportunities to see, you know, how much time it took them, have them be writing that down. Another thing is as you look through that, talk about it because there's some great interaction there, or be playing the game with them. Give them time and interact and talk to them, or have your students go into smaller cohorts and be able to talk about different areas in that sense. All right. getting towards the end here. The next one is Pinterest. All right. Now, I know Pinterest is one that there's so much out there, but I do want to talk about is there are things like resources and interactive games. And I put this down here too, because I actually found one of these, found all these, they're on Pinterest as well, but found it first from that. So going onto Pinterest and just typing in here. And so all I did was type in agriculture education resources, all right? And all of a sudden, there is a plethora of different resources that pop up here, allowing you to kind of look into that. And that's all I did was I went into Pinterest and I put in agriculture games, and boom, right there, that's where the Farmer 2020 came up. And I was like, okay, let's look at that. Okay, let's see what that is. Very quickly I was able to jump in there, and then that led me to some other games here. But it's one of those things where you can go in here and you can type in agriculture education resources. You can be very specific. Okay, you can type in you know, dog injury care. Okay. And if you're doing some of the vet tech stuff, okay, all of a sudden it gives you a whole bunch of different options to be able to go in. All right, ooh, 5-paw care rules. It gives you those options to be able to go in and interact with that. Again, this is something where, yep, you have to do some looking and some interacting, but the reason that I bring this one up more than others that could be out there, even Google, which is great, and you can just do that, but this gives you a different view, being able to find it. And then the nice thing about this too is if you have a Pinterest site, you can actually go onto your Pinterest site and create a board, allowing you then to put all of your dog care injury thoughts together, your resources together, all of your bovine care thoughts together, all of your equine care thoughts together, and again, place them in different areas and your own boards that you're then putting them all together, and you can come back to it anytime. If you're getting low on something, you can then go in and say, oh yeah, I know I need it in this world, go back and find that one thing and go into that world. So those are 10 kind of different ideas, things for you to do. One of the things that we have then is I want to introduce you some of our free resources here at Realityworks. So bringing this into you as well. Okay, first one here that I want to talk about, this is kind of on that ag side here. One of the things with the ag side here is, I'm sorry, the plant science side, excuse me, is that if you go to our resource page on hydroponics, okay, and I'm just going to click on our the download page actually for you so you can see what this is, okay, we have our user guide, and I want to talk specifically about plant science in this case. Is inside of our user guide, it brings you in here, but it's down here on page 7. And what we have, and I'm just going to highlight, or I'm going to make it a little bit larger here so you can see, but we have, okay, a great visual here, or opportunity here, and you can click on these. These, again, are all hyperlinked, and I just highlight them there. But these are different seed companies that are online seed companies that we then give you as we send out our hydroponic units for you to grow plants in. But this is a great place that if you are into that plant science world, have your students go to these websites, okay? Have them, and they can order these right from there. And I'm just Hello?
You're back, Jamie.
Okay, I'm so sorry about that. I will share with you. Sorry about that. I don't know what just happened there. All right, here are all the different resources there that you can actually be able to see in that world. Okay, back to that is different opportunities for then your students to be able to have and be able to um, uh, uh, um, use in that case. All right. Last one here then is just our free resources here. I'm going to go through quickly here so you can see it. But if you go to realityworks.com, we have free resources. We have lesson plans. We have PowerPoint slides. We have other areas. Some of the things, now these are purchasable ones, but we have scenario cards allowing you to have different scenarios for your students to be able to then go in and see things in this from employability skills, from leadership, soft skills, and being able to ask questions with each other and interact in that world. All right. We also have some free curriculum resources for you. So if you go to our website, realityworks.com, underneath the COVID-19 response and you hit learn more, we have all of our curriculum for all of our products free for you to download and use. All you have to do is come in, again, let me go back to realityworks.com, you click on this learn more, it brings you into guides and curriculum. And then from there, every single product we have has curriculum there, and it gives you that curriculum download. So you can use all the different resources on all the different products that we interact with. All right. It comes in a format, a PDF format. So you then download it. It gives you the curriculum, and it also gives you all of the PowerPoint slides and any interactives that we have with that. We also have, if you go to our website here, we have agriculture career exploration opportunities for you. We actually have a lesson for all the different careers from animal science, plant science, agribusiness in this world here for you to then be able to grab and use and to send and interact with your students, all focusing on career exploration. All right. Just to review here, again, realityworks.com. Under agriculture, this is where you can get all of those kind of things. Another great piece of this is that if you go to our virtual exhibit, you can register for a $250 voucher for any of our products. All right. With that said, I'm going to ask one last poll question here for you before we get into the question and answer. Thank you for taking the time with me today. So one last poll question. And just in that sense, have you seen our free curriculum and want to know, because we will send this out to you so you can see it, but we want to see, are you getting that? Is it something that you could be helpful? And then the next question is something we're looking into. Not sure exactly how it will look, but would you be interested in us doing a weekly 1-hour lesson? Again, be on different topics, but kind of like this, but it'll be more interactive with your students, where your students then would be able to have a topic, and maybe that would help you as teachers, where if you knew that each week there'd be a different topic, but it was focused on agriculture, that it would help your students, where you could then put that in as maybe one of your lessons, or be able to use that and have your students zoom in and be able to see us. Would that be a benefit for you as well? So just some different questions there for you to be able to interact with and kind of walk through and ask those questions on how are ways we can help you in this time. We'll give you about another 10 seconds to be able to do that. If you have any questions, and we can keep this going, if you have questions, feel free to ask and I'd be happy to answer them. One question I've heard or seen just multiple times is, will you be sending out a link to the PowerPoint slides and the recording? The answer is yes. Yes, we will. Again, the PowerPoint slides has all the links in it, so you can go right in there. We will send those out. We'll get that to you so you can have all those links and be able to go to those places that we're able to see. All right. Do apologize about the technical difficulties. I am glad that we're back. And if you have any other questions, we'd love to answer it. And thank you for taking this time with it. So please put in that. Emily, did I miss anything? Is there anything that I missed with questions there?
No, it looks like you have all the questions answered, and I'm not seeing any in the chat.
Okay, perfect. One thing I do want to say is I'm looking at the poll here as you've closed it now, and feel free to ask questions as we finish up here, but With the questions, have you seen the free Realityworks curriculum for usage? We will send out a link for you as this with all of our resources too in this email, allowing you then to be able to go in. If you haven't seen it, I see 38% still says that you hadn't seen it before us talking about it. This will then give you maybe, and we hope, a little boost as you start the school year, or maybe you've already started as you're into that world, and be able to give you some more resources, some activities, some interaction pieces to work with your students. And then looks like there is interest in us doing some of those online activities, and maybe giving you a resource where, hey, my students could go and do this in that sense. Question: if you would do a weekly lesson, would you send it out separate from a general mass email? I might miss it once the school kids got off. One of the things we look at, and that's probably a good one, I should have put in the poll, is how would you have liked that? And so maybe we'll send a little poll at the end of this too, Emily, and ask which, because one of the things is it might just be where we do it at a certain time every week, so then you can have your students come and interact there, or it'll be a certain time and we record it and then you can use it as you need, but kind of in that world. So it could be something too where we could have you sign up for it, and then that would be a separate email in that world. So we will look into that, and we'll probably look into doing a little more polling on that to see if that's something that is of interest to you.
And then,
do you
Jamey,
have things? Oh, go ahead.
Do you have things specifically for college level?
Great question. So all of our curriculum is based on high school. It would hit in the high school to post-secondary world, so high school and college level. So depending on what products you're looking at, we have different curriculum for each one. Some of them are 1 lesson, some of them are 5 lessons, things like that. And so it is something where there are different level or different lessons, but they all hit that high school and post-secondary. So it does go into that college level. All right, with that said, thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. And we will be sending this out for you. Hopefully it helps you get what you are looking for. Thank you.